Hello and welcome to the 50th episode of The Culture Swally, a podcast dedicated to Scottish news and pop culture. My name is Nicky and I'm joined, as always, by the man who I don't have a funny intro for this week. I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure spending 50 episodes speaking about Scottish news and pop culture with him. It's Greg. How are you today, Greg?
I'm very well. Right back at you, obviously.
Yeah.
Good.
Thanks.
Good. I've been
Good.
As well as it being our 50th episode sort of birthday this weekend, it's also been it's also Paul McCartney's birthday. It was his birthday yesterday, the same day as my daughter's. So she was quite pleased to find out that she shares a birthday with Sir Paul. But I think I was telling you I had to drive them to the Dubai's theme park, Riverland, or Motion Gate yesterday. So I had a load of kids. There was like 7 kids. So my wife and I took 2 cars because we couldn't get all of them in one car. And my daughter was in my wife's car, so I had all these kids that I didn't know all that well. So there's about 1 million conversations going on all at once. And one of them mentions a song, and they said, oh yeah, that was on Jaws 2. I was watching Jaws 2 the other day, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to interrupt, right? I'm very aware of the fact that my contribution isn't welcome. I'm just there to drive them, right? So I don't say anything, but I'll think to myself, I don't remember any songs that you would remember of Jaws 2. Do you know what I mean? There's obviously, there's the theme music, the Jaws theme music and stuff like that. So they're talking about it back at, oh yes, and then one of them starts singing the song, and it's the song One More Time, that one.
What, by Daft Punk?
Yeah, and I'm like, that's not
in Jaws 2.
So like I have to interject at this point, and I said, did you say that song was on Jaws 2? And they were like, no. I said, what did you say? Trolls 2.
Ah.
I was like, oh, I thought you said Jaws 2. And I'm like, no. So I just kept myself to myself for the rest of the journey.
Yeah, probably the safe. Yeah, to be on the safe side. Yeah, I was quite surprised when you mentioned that Jaws 2. Like, it's a deep cut for 14-year-old girls to be watching. But yeah, okay.
There was actually 2 boys and 2 girls. So one of the boys is from Aberdeen. I'm not going to say his name because I'm about to mug him off a bit here. But he was sitting in the front with me, and I think one of the girls in particular, I think he was quite keen on perhaps impressing. But he's talking about how when he's gone on roller coasters when he was younger, he's burst into tears and cried and all this kind of thing. And I'm thinking, when I was 14 and I was trying to impress girls, I would be talking about crying at roller coasters. And he was talking about how he cried during an episode of Stranger Things, and all this kind of thing. And it is obvious to anybody that's ever had their eye on somebody, regardless of whether it's male or female, whatever, that he fancies this girl, right? It's clear to my daughter that he fancies this girl. And I was thinking, kids are just not the same anymore as they used to be.
No, but then is it a case of, I would say maybe later on in life, showing your emotional side is very good and beneficial. Yeah. In fact, I was just earlier today, I was telling my wife a story that I'd heard, and I kind of welled up as I was telling her this story. I'm 41. I had to think about that. So that's fine. But a 14-year-old boy trying to impress a girl, you don't say stuff like that, do you?
Well, I don't know.
But nowadays, did they seem impressed that the fact that he'd cried at an episode of Stranger Things? And
everybody was laughing at everything everybody else said. So, and he was laughing as he told the story. So I guess it's fine. Do you know what I mean? These days, it's obviously whenever, when you see, I mean, you've probably experienced it with your nieces. When they hit a certain age, you remember what it was like to be that age. You know what I mean? Although it's obviously different for boys and girls when they hit these ages. So I'm thinking to myself, because he's a young guy. He's quite sporty. You can tell that he's sporty. You know what I mean? He's quite tall. He's almost, he's over my shoulder height, so that's quite tall for 14. I'm pretty tall. And, good-looking kid and all that. And I'm thinking about, this is the first time I met him, and I'm thinking to myself, you could have the pick of any of these girls, apart from my daughter, obviously, or I'd have to fucking knock your cunt in. But, but then he's He's telling me how much he likes Star Wars on the way down. He's from Aberdeen, the boy. His mum's from Dundee and his dad's from Glasgow.
What we all want to know, Greg, is did he get a little kiss and a cuddle from the girl that he was interested in?
Well, I don't know is the honest answer. I haven't seen much of my daughter this morning because they were up until God knows what time last night. But after the podcast, I'll ask her how what happened with her pals, if there was any romance around the motion gate. And I'll let you know in the next episode.
If there was any motion in the ocean. I'll look forward to hearing about that. Oh, lovely. Oh, teenage romance. Yeah. Next episode of The Swally, I want an update on this. Okay. I want to find out how this lad's getting on.
Okay.
This is our new pet project. Yeah. This could be our new Shangalang, which...
Oh, yeah.
When was the last time we had a Shangalang update?
I don't know. It was got to be at least 6 months ago. I really should have prepared a Shangalang update for the 50th episode. Just it didn't occur to me.
It did cross my mind, but then I thought... do I force it? So maybe next episode we'll have a Shangalang update. Sure. I'll need to actually check what the last episode we did a Shangalang update on.
I think I mentioned it on the respective Instagram post that I put out for the episode. So I can have a flick back and see.
Okay,
I'll get a wee.
We'll have a look. So shall we say that on the next episode we'll have a Shangalang update?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. Right, we'll do that. Okay. Right. Well, shall we have a look at what's been going on in Scotland over the last week or so?
Absolutely. For the 50th time, cue the jingle.
Hello, this is the Outer Hebrides Broadcasting Corporation, and here is what's been going on in the news.
Okay, Greg, so what have you seen this week in Scotland that has caught your eye and you want to share with all of our listeners?
Well, we've mentioned a couple of times in the last few episodes how there hasn't been a great deal of sort of Swally-centric news. Because life's a bit serious, at the minute, kind of late spring 2022. There's a lot of horrible shit going on. But for whatever reason, this week, there seem to be loads of Swally-centric stories. So I had 6, and I've whittled it down to 2, and there was some tough decisions made. But my first one comes from the Scottish Sun on the 8th of July. So it's a wee bit old, this one. The headline says, Thunder God, I'm a newsagent. I keep a collection of weapons under the counter. Here's my top choice. So this is a newsagent in Glasgow. TikTok star Yasser Inayat, who posts videos under the username The Silent Shopkeeper, and is well known for sharing secrets about his time as a shop boss. His videos are hugely popular. There's a picture of him here with Thor's hammer, standing in front of his bottles of Blue Wicked and Thunderbird. It says, under the picture, it says, more than year, in case of emergency. Well, that's the kind of legend that he's got on the picture. Underneath it says, it looks like the Thor hammer is his favourite. And then on the next one, underneath the picture, it says, he also has a bendy metal rod, which looks like a kind of tent pole bent into an L shape. But anyway, it says this time he's touched on a more serious subject in his typical light-hearted fashion by showing off his secret armoury. He joked that he has a wicket stick to scare off the kids, a bendy metal rod, and a 7-iron golf club so he can practice his swing. However, the most surprising item was more than year, the hammer of Thunder God Thor, which he said was there in case of emergencies. We previously told how Yasser had lifted the lid on the incredible lie he claims is constantly used by workers when dealing with demanding customers. In one video, he revealed that the lie that's used when customers ask him to check the back for a specific item. Inyat showed how he goes to the stockroom to appease them, even though he knows it's not there. He posted a short video on the popular social media app with the caption, Bossman, hashtag TikTok shopkeepers, hashtag retail life, hashtag Scotland. The video starts off with him standing in his shop. His text on the screen reads, I'll check in the back. I might have it in stock. It then shows him in the stockroom, messing around with a brush and killing time, when text on the screen says, me in the back, knowing I don't have that stock for weeks. Viewers were loving his honesty, and others with retail experience admitted that they were guilty of the same thing. One person said, as a student, I did retail work and I used to do this. I'd pretend to run up the stairs to the stockroom, wait a few minutes, and return. Another added, I used to go into the back and sit down for 2 minutes and not check, especially if the customer was rude. On the third row, I refused to go and check, especially if I did so for someone else earlier, with more laughing faces. So yeah, I like that one about old Yasser there. It doesn't say whereabouts in Glasgow his newsagent is. I don't think they've bothered to do a great deal of research into the guy. I think they've just really looked at his TikTok videos. But yeah, there's a picture of him there with his bendy metal rod and also holding Molyneux.
That's a shame. I'd quite like to go to this newsagent and meet Yasser. He sounds like fucking hilarious. The fact he's got Thor's hammer, but only in case of emergencies, is just phenomenal. Like, what are you going to do with that? Like, it's not the best thing. I love was it a bendy metal rod that he has as backup, and a 7-iron as well. Yeah, that's fair enough. Like, most people would have like a baseball bat or a cricket bat or something, but he's got a bendy metal rod and a 7-iron and Thor's fucking hammer. Like, that's incredible. You'd expect like to have like maybe TJ Hooker's nightstick or something, but fucking Thor's hammer. Come out swinging it. Like, oh, Jesus, what a legend.
Nice relevant reference there for our younger listeners from Nicky. Go and ask your dad who TJ Hooker was. Now, I can't imagine that Police Scotland would condone shopkeepers having a selection of weapons under the counter in case, of emergencies.
I wouldn't have thought so, no. No, but then because is that not, we've covered stories before on this Valley that people have been arrested because they've had like a baseball bat or something in their car, and people are like, well, yeah, you're using that as a weapon. You're not off to go, where's your catcher's mitt? That's what, I remember reading something about that, and some gangster or someone in Scotland saying, if you're going to have a baseball bat in your house, always get a mitt as well. Because then it looks like you are properly playing baseball. Like, but if you've just got a baseball bat, then you're obviously up to no good.
Especially if it's filled with cement, like the guy in Falkirk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He could get away with that maybe by saying he was just a Marvel fan and he's got Thor's hammer in his shop, and the golf club for practicing his swing. I don't know how he'd get away with a bendy metal rod. I love the fact it's called a bendy metal rod as well. Like, it's so descriptive. What excuse are you going to give for that? Oh, I use that for unblocking the drains or something. Or when I go back to check. What is this story that he's saying that he goes back to check for stuff, but he doesn't actually know it's there or something? Like, so what's he doing? Practicing his swing when he goes?
Yeah, he just goes to kill some time. I mean, I think he's been a bit gullible, because I'm sure that while he's pretending to check the back, there's people in his shop probably filling their pockets with Tonics wafers and Kanzai brew and stuff. Bottles of Thunderbird and
raking through the top shelf for shaven ravers or something to go off and peruse.
I just had a nice image in my mind of Yasser, like sort of one afternoon, and he's like putting out fresh rolls or something like that, and some guys come in and start fucking about, and he sort of summons Molyneux from behind the counter, like comes flying through the shop, like knocking stuff over.
Causing lots of damage, but at least he's got his hammer. Fucking hell. Yeah. What a legend. Indeed. Oh, Yasser. I really want to go and visit that. I want to go in to see his newsagent and just see him with his bendy metal rod.
I'll put a link to his TikTok videos up on our Instagram page and Twitter, so everybody can have a wee look.
I'll look forward to looking at that. Thanks very much. Oh, brilliant. Good lad.
So that's my first story this week. What's yours? What you got for us?
Okay, my first story is about a Scotswoman. This is from the Daily Record this week. Scotswoman confused after finding 8 Americans in her front garden waving through her window. So this is Lana Tolland, who was laying on her sofa in her Glasgow home on Wednesday night when she spotted 8 people smiling through her window at her and waving at her. The strangers approached her window and said that the home had belonged to their great-grandparents. She explained in a now viral Twitter post how she was so confused when she saw the group walk through her garden to her house. She then took a picture of them enjoying a late night stroll around her garden and shared details of the encounter. And there are pictures of these 8 people wandering round her garden. It does look like, I don't know, it looks like something like a cocoon or something, like just these 8 confused American people wandering around the garden. She said, no way, lying on the couch with the blind open, and I see 8 people I don't know at the garden waving at me. And I'm like, I open the window and they're all American in caps. Like, it's the most bizarre thing. Why is an American in Glasgow? And they're giving it, our great-grandparents used to own this house. Can we have a look around? I thought this only happened on telly. They're all getting pictures. Dogs are going mental. What is going on? Someone replied, no, with, I think, 10 O's. I'm deed. Ha, ha, ha. Honestly, I was so confused, man. Ha, ha, ha. Others have also replied on the social media post and shared their own similar experiences. One user tweeted, nah, basically the same thing happened to me last week. I'm howling. Another said, I was staying overnight in a house in Manchester once, and the next day the doorbell rang. 2 Canadian ladies said that they wanted to come in as it was where the Bee Gees grew up, and they asked where the blue plaque was. I had to tell them that it was now rented out to a load of students. A third wrote, it happened to us in our cottage. His father was born there. A number of years later, we dug up a War of Independence Civil Era bomb that his father had made. We had to call the army to blow it up. And that's the end of the story. Yes, this woman, just random Americans turning up in her garden. They're like, yeah, our great grandfather used to own this house.
Where was the house?
Like, I presume it's a.
Does it say?
It just says Glasgow. Oh. It doesn't give like a distinct address. Yeah, just Glasgow home.
Right.
So, like, I'm sure it's not a new build or anything, but from the photo, it does look like an oldish type neighborhood. Like some of the houses that are in the background look like they've been there for a while. Like, it's not like a Cumbernauld or anything, it's not like new flats in the middle of town. So it does look like it's been there for a while. But yeah, it just says Glasgow. Doesn't give the actual address. Okay. But for their great grandparents to own it, I don't know. It could be bullshit though. Like, maybe they just were told, much like we're going to be talking about later on, you know, when people are like, yeah, I'm from Scotland, like, but you're not really from Scotland, are you? Yeah, these American maybe grandparents have said, yeah, we're from Scotland, we used to own this house. To give a distinct address, then maybe they were. Who knows? Don't know.
That's what I mean. It's quite funny, isn't it, that they would just walk, like, you know, rather than trap the door, the first thing they think to do is go up and peer in the window, see if anybody's in.
Are you there? Can you imagine that, though? You're lying on your sofa, like, watching, I don't know, Take the High Road or something, and all of a sudden, there's like 8 Americans just peering through your window.
A video of Take the High Road bloopers.
I should have said River City to make it more current, sorry. But yeah, that's a hell of a surprise. But yeah, just random people turning up at your door. Like, I don't think I would do that. Like, would you?
No. I remember seeing a programme, it might have been Who Do You Think You Are? And it was Robert Llewellyn who played Crichton on Red Dwarf. And he went with the production team to his old family house that I think that he essentially grew up in. And the owners let them in, and he went to see the bedroom that he shared with his brother and all that sort of stuff. And I remember thinking, you know, as somebody that owns the house, it's a bit, because it's like your house, right? It's your house. You've bought it, or you're renting it, whatever. You've made it home. But you'd always have the memory that, because if you buy a secondhand, if you buy a house, unless you buy a brand new house, the chances are people have lived in it before. You've lived in it. But you don't really think about it. But if somebody famous comes to your door and says, "Oh, I used to live here," I don't know. I feel like that would just sort of take away a little part of the feeling of ownership, because you're always going to be like, "Oh, I live in Crichton's old house." You know what I mean?
Especially if it's someone like Robert Llewellyn, no offence to him, but yeah, you're Crichton, you're like, fuck, could it not have been Craig Charles or even Chris Barry? Maybe Danny John Jules even, like, but is Robert Llewellyn the best? Like, you're kind of wanting to have Paul McCartney turn up at your house. Yeah. Or could you imagine if it was like James Corden or something? You'd be like, I would sell the house literally the next day if it turned out I was living in like James Corden's old house.
Did you ever see the Carpool Karaoke that when James...
I don't watch anything that James Corden's in. I can't stand the fact.
I can't stand them either, but I saw it. I think this might have been the thing that really that really put me off him once and for all. But he was driving around Liverpool with Paul McCartney, doing carpool karaoke, and they went to Paul McCartney's old house, and then obviously the owner,
Robert Llewellyn, was there.
Robert Llewellyn was there. The owner obviously knew that Paul McCartney had lived there. It wasn't like a shock. I think the owner had lived there for like 30 or 40 years. But they let them in, and you can tell that Paul McCartney's thinking, why the fuck am I doing this? Why am I humouring this excitable fucking rotund arsehole? But, he's...
I never should have married fucking that Heather. She took half my money, and now I'm having to do this.
Fucking
Heather Mills.
Paul had a quick look around the kitchen, and it's like, oh yeah, I remember we used to have a thing over here and something over there and blah blah blah. Oh yeah, James Corden's like, oh wow, this is amazing. And I'm thinking, is it? No, is it amazing, James? I'm not sure it is amazing. It's mildly interesting, perhaps, but it's definitely not amazing.
Oh dear. Oh yeah, I used to live here, yeah. I used to be a newsagent round the corner that had a bendy metal rod under the desk.
Yeah. The owner had this like ancient like Norse weapon that you could summon from anywhere in his shop.
Oh dear. Okay, Greg, so what else have you seen this week in Scotland?
Okay, well look, I wasn't going to do this one because I know that we've had a lot of stories like this, but it's sort of quite on brand for the podcast, although we never set out to find like 10 news stories about guys wanking in their cars. We just when we had this idea to do the podcast and to do some local news before the review. But for whatever reason, there just seems to be a bit of a sort of fashionable thing to do in Scotland. So the head, again, as you may expect, it comes from the Scottish Sun on the 11th of June. Video nasty, Scots kilt shop launch probe after van driver filmed performing sex acts on himself in front of shocked onlookers. The footage was captured by a shocked couple in Aberdeen as the driver was parked outside their home. The clip appeared to show the driver performing a sex act on himself. It is understood the driver was delivering kilts around the city at the time the video was taken. Hopefully he had delivered all the kilts. He was seen parked in the van at the side of the road. McCall's Highland Wear, the company whose van appeared to be seen in the footage, have since launched a probe into the video. When asked about the clip, the shop said they are currently investigating the situation and are aware of the video. McCall's Highland Wear has yet to issue a comment though. As the driver was filmed, the woman filming the video could be heard saying, "That's so inappropriate." Now, I used to live in Aberdeen, right? And I used to live in Scotland. That's quite, as a first response thing to say to seeing somebody wanking in a van outside your house, that's so inappropriate feels a little low. Do you know what I mean? Like a bit low balling it. I can't imagine that'd be the first thing that the people I know would say if they saw that. The disgusted couple who filmed the driver opened the window to confront him and shouted at the man asking, "What are you doing?" After realising he was being watched, the van driver turned his engine on and drove off. The pair were left stunned at the end of the video. One of the onlookers said after the incident, "I hope he washed his hands before he dropped the rest of the kilts off." That's the whole story. Short. I won't say sweet, but certainly short. Now, somebody sent this video to you without you asking, and you shared it with me.
Yeah.
I mean, I only watched it for a short time, but I don't...
It's not a long clip.
I can't imagine that the investigation will take too long for McCall's to carry out. It's a fairly cut and dried case.
Well, I wasn't quite sure because obviously it's a McCall's van, so I knew it was Aberdeen shop. But the accents sound like more Dundonian.
Right.
Like, so I wondered if it was filmed in Aberdeen. And of course, you can't really see where it is. It's just like in a little lane. So I wasn't sure where it was, but if it says in the news article it was filmed in Aberdeen, then fair play.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. The woman, that's so inappropriate. Like, you wouldn't say that though. Who says that? You'd be like, look at that fucking manky cunt. He's having a fucking wank. Like, you would say that. You don't be like, oh, that is so inappropriate to be wanking in your van outside our house. Like, say something. Yeah. And fair play, the guy opens the window and shit, "Oi!" And the guy's like, oh, fuck. Like, and I love it. He puts his phone away because he's obviously been looking at porn on his phone. And he tucks up, puts his phone away, and then drives off. Like, oh, poor guy. He's just having a wank, like, in his van. I mean, yeah, very inappropriate. And you don't do that, like, right in the eye line of a window. Surely, if you're in Aberdeen, you would drive down, like, the beach or something, or the harbour. Like, if you were that desperate for a wank, like, I mean, we've covered this in the Swally before. That guy that had taken a Viagra.
Oh yeah,
and it was
that
like
was in Aberdeen
pain,
as well, wasn't
so
it?
He had to wank. It was.
It
was in Aberdeen. It was. I think it was in a supermarket car park. Wasn't it? Like, so you do that. You don't drive like right outside somebody's window and have a wank. Like, surely. That's, yeah. But here, fair play. McCall's have got a good bit of publicity out of this.
Yeah. I know, I think whoever coined the phrase, there's no such thing as bad publicity, maybe didn't own a clothing rental business. and have an employee who was caught masturbating in public whilst delivering said clothing.
But then you could just imagine this weekend, like, it's obviously like Saturday's probably their busiest day. Think how many people have gone into that shop at the weekend and have asked about the wanking driver.
Yeah.
Like, do you know the guy that was in the van wanking? It's brilliant. I bet the shop staff were loving it. Like, I wonder if he's been fired. Or...
I would imagine so. I mean, it's the beginning of wedding season, isn't it? So
that's true. Yeah.
Wedding season will be cranking up, if you'll forgive the unintentional pun there. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think. Now, McCall's, I think, are the ones on School Hill, right at the top in the corner of.
No, McCall's is on Bridge Street.
Yes, that's right.
That's where That's where I got my kilt from, McCall's.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Did you go and collect it yourself, or did somebody drop it off?
No, I collected it myself. It was my I think it was my 21st birthday present from my mum. My kilt. No, I collected it myself. I didn't get it dropped off.
Well, very wise.
So yeah, I thought it was to be on the safe side. Yeah, because I knew 20 years later there'd be a guy wanking in a van.
I mean, who's to say that's the first time? You know.
No, I think the one on School Hill, that was Alexander Scott's. That's no longer there though. We because we walked past it the couple of weeks ago, and it's it's no longer there, because that's where I thought I might go and get my my hat, but they were shut. No longer there, unfortunately.
So I suppose maybe Aberdeen's not that flush for Highland wear rental companies. So.
Well, I guess because they're all wanking in vans, so I guess that's why. It's a sad demise, but what to do?
Yep. Well, we won't linger. I feel like we've done the whole wanking in a car thing to death, so maybe that'll be the last one for quite a while.
Okay, yeah. Until next week when we see a story.
I'm trying to think, because we had the one you mentioned earlier about the guy getting busted in the Aldi car park in Old Meldrum. We had the one about the guy who was watching a lady in Edinburgh taking her messages out of the car and couldn't could not say, but
forgotten about that.
We tried to say he was trying to swat a bee or something like that.
Yes, he was. Yes.
And we had the naked guy, naked lorry driver on the Livingston Road, just by the side of the road, kind of banging one out. There's probably more that I've just forgotten.
Just speaking about transport wanking, because we also had the picture.
Oh yes, yes, indeed.
I don't know if we include if you're just including wanking as a whole, or if it's just transport related wanking. Then I think we had another one as well. I'm sure. There was one more. I'm positive. I don't know. I need to look back, but I'm sure there was another wanker we've had on the podcast. But that's a bit of a trope. So yeah, probably until we'll leave it for a couple of years. Because actually, I did say maybe about 10 episodes ago, I did say I was on a wanking ban, because I think it was like 3 episodes in a row that I had a story about a wanker. Yeah. So we need to stop.
We do.
That, so.
I mean, we might have enough for a special episode if we want to take like a week off. You could just edit together all the wanking stories.
We certainly could, actually.
A place filler.
A wanking special.
Yeah.
I won't do a best of the news this year. I'll do a wanking special instead.
Could open ourselves up to a whole new market. Anyway. All right. Well, that was my second story. What's your next story this week?
I've got a wonderful story, Greg, that sort of encapsulates, it gives actually Scotland a bit of a bad name. Right. Like, we're often known as a nation for being kind of tight. And I don't think we are as a nation, really. But however, this gentleman is not doing us any favours. So he is a gentleman called Kevin Sherwin, and this is from the Scottish Sun today. He is Scotland's biggest Eurovision fan, and he is saying this is why we should host it next year, because it makes sense. So this is Scotland's Eurovision superfan is launching a campaign to have the show staged in his home city so he doesn't have to pay to travel. His life revolves around the glitzy song contest since he first attended in 1994. Every year, Kevin books up to go to the host city, and he says he has splashed out at least £51,000. That's a very kind of accurate number, clocking up around 40,000 miles. That's not bad, Kevin. It's like just over £1, £1.10 a mile. That's okay. But now the BBC are in talks to stage the event in the UK next year, because obviously Ukraine, they're not able to host it because of current situation. So because the UK came second this year, the UK is going to host it, probably. So the BBC are in talks to stage it in the UK, and he believes that Aberdeen is the perfect venue for the event. Kevin, 61, reckons the Queen could even host attendees at Balmoral, and they could sup world-class whiskey from local distilleries. But he also said, this could save me at least £2,000.
The real reason.
I love the thought of not having to go anywhere for a change. It would be my dream come true. So this is the start of my one-man campaign. I'd love to have some sort of official role, so I'm putting myself forward as an ambassador for Aberdeen. It's thought that Glasgow is the hot favourite to host Eurovision at the Hydro in 2023. Okay. But taxi driver Kevin believes there's only a handful of cities that could be in the running. He thinks that only Manchester, Aberdeen and Glasgow have venues big enough and a space in the calendar to give organisers the 6 weeks they need to set up. Kevin said, why shouldn't it come to Aberdeen? We've got Scotland's biggest indoor arena. Is that, do you think that's right? The P&J, we went to that. Like, do you think that is the biggest indoor arena in Scotland?
It's not bigger than the Hydro.
I thought it's not, is it? No. We've got Scotland's biggest indoor arena and loads of hotels within walking distance. I didn't see many hotels within walking distance there. We have the infrastructure. You don't. And everything that goes with it. It's something I've joked about before, but it could really happen. Kevin believes that the Queen's summer home would be the perfect place for the launch night. He said, everyone from all over Europe would love to go to Balmoral. It would be out of this world. Someone needs to get in touch with the Queen and get this sorted. Well, Kevin, you put yourself as forward as the ambassador. Why don't you get in touch with her? Kevin has been to 15 capital cities, and he has met stars, including Graham Norton and Terry Wogan. Wow. He is told how his calendar runs from May to May because his year starts when the show ends. His visit to Turin was the 23rd Eurovision he has been to, and he said he might retire if it comes to Aberdeen. He said, it would be the perfect swan song for me. I don't think it would get any better. But it will never happen again in my lifetime, so it's probably the ideal time to bow out. But when I say that every year, I get caught up in it all again. So who knows? Well, Kevin, good luck to you. I hope it does come to Aberdeen. It'd be amazing if it came to Aberdeen, but let's face it, it's going to go to Glasgow if it goes to anywhere in the UK, I would think.
I've just fact-checked Kevin's statement, and the P&J Live is indeed the biggest indoor arena in Scotland.
Wow. I mean, it's massive. Like, it is big. I mean, we were there a few weeks ago, and it is big, but I would have thought, as you said, the Hydro would have been bigger.
It's Scotland. It's the P&J Live's biggest one in Scotland. It's the 5th biggest in the UK. So
Kevin's talking shite when he says there's only 3 places in the UK big enough to host that.
So
because he said Manchester, Glasgow, and Aberdeen.
Well, he's forgetting the O2. So the Manchester Arena is the biggest one in the UK. It holds 21,000 people. The O2 Arena is the second biggest, only just. It holds 20,000. Then Arena Birmingham, which is in Birmingham, you'll be shocked to know, is the 3rd biggest, and then the Resorts World Arena in Birmingham is the 4th. Then it's the P&J Live in Aberdeen. Then it's the First Direct Arena in Leeds. So the Hydro is not even in the top 5. So Kevin's correct.
Wow, I'm really shocked at that. Like the P&J is the biggest kind of capacity in Scotland. Yeah. That's good to know. Like, and obviously in terms of indoor arena.
Yeah.
obviously, if you're having outdoor, obviously you've got Hampden and Murrayfield and, I mean, Ibrox. Did you see, we didn't cover it on the news, did you see the guy taking a fucking fall from the top deck at Ibrox at the Harry Styles concert? That was a fair play. Thankfully, he's alive and he's okay, but Jesus.
I think a woman broke his fall by the sounds of things, else it could have been a lot worse, because I did read a story about a lady who was there with her daughter, who he landed on. He landed on the lady. Luckily, her daughter was a nurse, and she gave him CPR and sorted him out. And he was out of hospital the next day. He was all right, but...
it's incredible, yeah. Like, and that's when you see the footage of him just dropping, you're like, holy shit! Like, that's a fair fall. Like, how does that happen? Like,
well,
bizarre.
I don't want to get on the conjecture bus, but I imagine that he probably had quite a lot to drink. That was how he fell.
And I think probably, thankfully, he did, because if he'd been sober and taken that fall, he probably would have died. But because he was probably pissed, that's probably why he's still alive. Well, like, because his body would have been loose, like, type thing. But yeah, obviously we're getting off the topic of that. But yeah, fair play. Hopefully you're all fine, mate. Yeah, I'm shocked. P&J is the biggest indoor arena in Scotland. Yeah. Wow. Fair play. I mean, we had a taxi driver in Aberdeen that was saying that it's been one of the best things to happen to the city. That they're attracting big name acts and big bands, like, are now coming to Aberdeen because the place is so big. Like,
well, you never know. Maybe this guy's Eurovision dream will be realised, and they will come and do the show there. Perhaps.
Possibly. Yeah, I think it's going to go to the Hydro Glasgow. I'll be quite honest.
Or the Manchester Arena.
Or Manchester. No, I think there is I have seen like quite a big swell of it saying that it should be in Scotland. And I think rightly so. But I think it would have to go to Glasgow rather than Aberdeen. You're not going to have it Aberdeen. It has to be Glasgow. I mean, ideally it would be Edinburgh, but there's not anywhere there and to host it really. So
not indoor.
I think it's going to be Glasgow, surely.
So maybe next year you guys will be able to download a Culture Swally Eurovision special if it does.
Yeah, we could actually. Yeah, I mean, well, we've got quite a rich history. I mean, we've got Lulu, Sandy Shaw. She was Scottish, wasn't she? Was she?
No, I think she was.
No, Lulu and Sandy Shaw.
No, Sandy Shaw's English. She's English.
Oh, is she English? Okay. Well, we've got Lulu. We'll always have Lulu.
That's all we need. That's all we need. It's just Lulu. She's enough for anybody.
Okay. Anything else that you've seen this week in the news, or does that cover the news for this week?
I've got a story about a lady flying from Glasgow to Edinburgh to Dublin, I beg your pardon, and with Aer Lingus suddenly lost her luggage, and when she brought this to the attention of the Aer Lingus team in Dublin Airport, they advised her to go to Primark. But luckily they've agreed to pay her the £1,600 value of the clothing that was lost, so it worked out well.
Could you imagine that? You'd be fucking raging if you're like, I've lost my luggage, and they're like, well, go to Primark. Like, you'd be like, are you kidding me? Are you taking a piss? and come on, £1,600 for in her luggage? Yeah. Really? I think she's fiddling the insurance there, I think. You've got to think that. There's no way she had that much in her bloody luggage. But that's a shame. There'd be, nothing more infuriating than losing your case. Okay, right. Before we have a look at what we're going to be talking about today, let's have a little word from our sponsors.
So what if a man drills for oil and does it all on his jack?
I'm just popping down to the ocean bed, and then I'm coming back.
No, when it comes to lubrication, you have to do something more. It's the man who comes up with Tartan Special. That's who I'm rooting for.
Support your local hero and his younger's Tartan Special.
Okay, so it's as I mentioned at the start of the podcast, it's our 50th episode. We've got something very special, or we think is very special, to discuss on today's podcast. So, Nikki, do you want to introduce?
Yeah, Greg. Well, as you say, 50th episode. So we thought we were going to do this earlier, but then we decided to save it for the 50th because what we're going to talk about today is probably what is often regarded as one of the best Scottish films of all time, and one of the best British films of all time. So written, directed by Bill Forsyth. It's 1983's comedy kind of drama Local Hero, starring Peter Riegert, Denis Lawson, Fulton Mackay and Peter Capaldi, and of course Burt Lancaster, making his probably only appearance on the Culture Valley. It tells the story of an American oil executive who is sent to the village of Furness to purchase the town and surrounding property for its company who want to turn it into an oil refinery. Filmed entirely on location in Scotland and in Texas as well, and featuring an amazing soundtrack by Mark Knopfler of Dire Straits fame. Local Hero is the third Bill Forsyth film that we have featured on this valley. But Greg, what are your memories and thoughts of Local Hero? Because obviously this isn't the first time you've watched Local Hero, is it?
No, it's not. But I knew the soundtrack to Local Hero really well before I ever saw the film because my stepfather was a big fan of the soundtrack. And he used to play it in the car a lot. So, like, I knew of the film, but I didn't see it until I was maybe 16 or 17. I think it was on the TV one night. And
it's probably the same night I watched it,
yeah,
I bet.
Probably. I mean, it feels like it was on like one Sunday night, and I think BBC Two used to show like some classic movies on a Sunday night back in the kind of mid-90s, early 90s. So yeah, I think that's the first time I saw it. And to be honest, I've seen it a few times since. I hadn't watched it for, I don't know, it could be 15 years or more when I came to watch it to do the episode today. And it was really like coming to it brand new. There's so much nuance and subtlety in it that I never ever picked up on before. From what, watching it now as an adult, and obviously taking a kind of more critical approach in watching it as well. But it's such a fantastic film.
I think I'd have been about the same. I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if we watched it around about the same time, because I think I was about 13, 14 when I first saw it, and it was because it was on BBC, like late one Sunday night. Mm-hmm. Exactly as you described. And I watched it, and I enjoyed the film, but I don't think I appreciated it for what it was at the time. And I've watched it quite a few times as I've gotten older. But similar to yourself, I think it must be about 15, maybe 16 years since I've watched it before watching it for the Swally. It's almost difficult to describe this film because I messaged you after I watched it and I said to you, just watch Local Hero. I feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Like it just, and watching this film, I cannot put my finger on why it is such a special and spectacular film, but it just is. Like it just leaves you with this feeling of just beautiful emotion, and it's just such a beautiful, well-made film, and nothing happens in it, really. It's about a guy going to Scotland and visiting this village, and he goes home, but it's just this beautiful film, and it's impossible. I was trying to describe this to my wife, because I was saying to her, we should watch it together, and she said, well, what's it about? And I'm like, well, I don't know, really. Like, it's about this guy that just goes to this town in Scotland, and then leaves, but it's just such a beautiful, heavy film, but it's so funny in a way as well. But as you say, it's the little nuances that just make it, and it's just it's just a spectacular film. It's so special.
I mean, I think because there's no if you think of all the antagonists, there's no sort of heroes or villains in it. Like even the oil company, who I suppose, if you wanted to look at it in a sort of traditional way, would be the kind of villains because they want to buy this scenic, beautiful part of Scotland and build like a hideous big oil refinery there. But then you have the people in the village who kind of want it to happen because they're going to get all this money. So, you got Burt Lancaster as a Happer, who is the head of the oil company, and then Peter Riegert is Mac, who has been sent out because he sounds a bit Scottish. His surname sounds a bit Scottish. He's been picked to go and negotiate and sort the deal out. But there's nothing villainous about them. They're two nice guys. Even Lancaster, who, he's kind of going for it in some scenes. His character he's not a villainous character. You sort of see it coming when he comes to the village and he comes to Furness. I remember watching it and thinking, he's going to have his head turned as well in the same way that Max had his head turned. And of course he does. And then, you've got Ricky Fulton and Alex Norton playing the sort of scientists who are designing it. And there's nothing villainous about them either. You know what I mean? It's just it's just a lot of nice people in this story that, and it's sort of the perfect film because like no one dies in it. Nobody gets punched in it. You know what I mean? Nothing bad happens to anybody in it apart from maybe Trudy the rabbit.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, yeah.
But no, you're right. It's what I'd put in my notes is like, it's like a family film because there's no violence, there's no nudity, there's hardly a swear word. I think there's like 2 swear words in the whole film. And one of them is bugger, which is hardly. It's such a gentle film, but it's not really a family film because kids would probably find this quite boring. And as you say, the only horrible bit is, Trudy the rabbit. Like, and I couldn't believe that watching this. I'd forgotten about that. It's just so nonchalant. Like, we cooked the rabbit. And I'm like, holy fuck. It's unbelievable. He's like, but his leg's broken. You can see from the bones. It's so matter of fact the way Stella's like consoles him, like, sorry, are you upset? No, we cooked it in a slow broth for 2 hours.
It's like wine.
But it just happens, and it's so just matter of fact, but it kind of just works in the film. But I was horrified when it happened. You're right though, it does kind of, it just, this small town just kind of takes everyone in. Like genuinely, when I watched this week, I actually put in my notes, I was like, this is just like a comedic version of The Wicker Man. Like it's but you know what I mean? Like it is though. Like when when he goes to the shop to buy the dry shampoo and stuff, it's just like it's like The Wicker Man, but not it doesn't have a bad ending. He doesn't end up with him being burned in a wicker man. I mean, it does have a bad ending because he ends up back in Euston, but and we'll come on to the ending later because that's something that was a bit ambiguous. But it's kind of like The Wicker Man. Like he just gets sucked into this place in this town, but everyone's just so lovely and nice. Like even the guy painting his boat. It's just everyone. It's and do you want me to paint the phone box a different color for you? Like it's just because he's obviously the only person in the whole town that uses the phone box. Like it's just such a gentle film. And as you said, there's no bad person. Like it's such a nice twist that you have the evil oil company want to buy this village, but all the villagers are fucking desperate to sell. And even the priest. Did you notice the priest? That's Malcolm from Desmond's. Even he's like, and it's such a nice little twist that he's like, from Nigeria, or I can't remember what it was, but but he has a Scottish surname as well, same as Mac, and jokes about it. But he's just the whole town is desperate to sell the village and make their millions, and they're all planning whether they're going to buy a Maserati or a Rolls Royce.
I like how, because like in a lot of ways, the story is a bit of when I was thinking about it at first, I was thinking, well, it's sort of like a critical kind of comment on capitalism. And obviously, like at that point in the 80s, especially in the UK and in like Wall Street, you got Reaganomics in the US, you got Thatcher in the UK, this kind of yuppie culture and everything. And when you see Mac in his apartment in Houston, he obviously lives in an amazing apartment for the time. You know what I mean? He's got his rechargeable briefcase and all this kind of stuff. You sort of think, well, it's sort of like a bit of a, and then you have Mac's journey coming from Houston and falling in love with this quite simple way of life that the villagers have on the coast. There's that great scene after the Ceilidh with him and Denis Lawson, who plays Urquhart, and he's he's sort of drunkenly trying to talk Urquhart into swapping lives with him because he's being completely seduced by the town and the way of life at that point. And he's like, I'll stay here and run the pub and you can go to Houston. But it's not really like a massive sort of damning statement on capitalism because, like you said before, all the villagers want to make money as well. So even though they have this sort of idyllic, like sort of nice, gentle life by the sea, the thought of having £1 million in the bank and driving a Maserati very much motivates them. Even the old ones like Gideon, the boat painter, and all that kind of thing. and it's just what staggers me a little bit about Local Hero is it's Bill Forsyth's third movie. So he goes from making that sinking feeling with a company of amateur, completely unknown youth actors that he's basically found on the streets of Glasgow, to doing Gregory's Girl with much of the same cast as that sinking feeling, to then directing Burt Lancaster and Peter Capaldi, although maybe not, I think Peter Capaldi said it was his first film, but Peter Riegert, who is an accomplished actor, and Denis Lawson, and all these other guys, and he's making a studio film, and yet all the unmistakable kind of nuances of a Bill Forsyth film are there. You know what I mean? He's not sort of changed his approach or changed how he writes or anything for the fact he's making this big Hollywood film for David Putnam, who had just done, very famous producer, had just done Chariots of Fire. And all the things that I know that you and I, and certainly others who are big fans of Forsyth's work, all those little things are there, all those little throwaway little lines and little surreal moments, and you know what I mean? It's just...
But it's the little things, as you mentioned. It's like Ricky on the motorbike. And I mean, that was Gordon Sinclair genuinely riding that bike every time. And it's funny the first couple of times you see him, and then every time they step out of somewhere, you're waiting for Ricky to come bombing past, like, because you know what's going to happen. It's like as you said, it's like the rabbit in Gregory's Girl, or some of the little nuances in Comfort and Joy, and that's what makes a Bill Forsyth film. And it was so pleasing because I don't know if you watched the link I sent you, the Film Connections thing, and they had John Gordon Sinclair, and he said, I think, like, Bill maybe felt sorry for me, like, because he didn't pay me much for Gregory's Girl. So he was like, do you want to come up for the summer and just ride a motorbike around and, you know, just be in a few scenes? But it's such a big reveal, like, and genuinely you just see Ricky on the motorbike. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you see him playing the drums and you're like, oh, that's John Gordon Sinclair. Oh, it's Ricky. Oh, he's the guy on the bike. Like, because he's always got his helmet on. So you never know it's him until, and it's such a big reveal. And he's got what, like 2 lines when he's speaking to the punk girl who is in love with Danny. Like, it's such a beautiful reveal and so subtle, but that is what Bill Forsyth does so well. Yeah. And it's beautifully done in terms of that. You're right. It's just all those nuances and just little subtle touches. And as you say, this was his third film, and probably, I think, his best. I mean, like... Oh,
it's unquestionably his best
one. As much as I love Gregory's Girl and Comfort and Joy, Local Hero would be the film that, I hate to say it, but, you know, when Bill Forsyth dies, that'll be the film that is mentioned, you know, Local Hero director. Do you know what I mean? Like, same as Ivan Reitman when he died, it was Ghostbusters director. Yep. You know, he made a lot of good films, but Local Hero will be what Bill Forsyth is remembered for.
Yeah, for sure. I think he did Comfort and Joy like the very next year. Then after that, went off to Hollywood and did a few films there. So he did. I know he did a film called Being Human, which I think has got Robin Williams in it. And he maybe did maybe 2 more films, but I don't think his experiences there were very good. You know, no. And then, you know, since he's come back, I think he's only really done the Gregory's Girl sequel, which is. It's not very good. And it's, you know, there's a couple of questions, you know, I don't think it, you know, perhaps naive sort of storylines in it about a teacher obsessing over one of his pupils, which isn't usually something that makes very good comedy. Do you know what I mean?
No. Especially not now. No, definitely not.
So I think you're right. I mean, this is definitely... It's definitely his apex for sure. And like, there's just so many... You know, like one scene that for some reason just strikes me as being like archetypal Forsyth is when Rieghart's talking to all the guys at Gideon's boat and there's a baby crying, and he says, "Oh, whose baby is it?" And everybody, even like from the oldest guys, you know, Jonathan Watson's there in a sort of small role, and they're all looking at each other, and no one wants to hold up to it.
Exactly, as you say, that is one of the scenes that I would say is just typical Bill Forsyth, just a random, and that's the whole point. This film, it's nearly 2 hours long, but it feels perfectly paced, but it's filled with like random scenes like that. For example, the baby, or the scene where they're waiting for Ben to make his decision, And it cuts to them in the tea room, in the lunch room of the hotel, and they're listening to the music. And he's like, "I've never liked this music." He's like, why did you never mention this before?"
Gordon, can this music be turned off?
Oh, yeah. Don't you like this?
No.
You mean you never liked it?
No.
So even when you first came here, you didn't like this?
No.
Well.
Like, it's such a random scene, but it just works so well. Like, it's just cut in there. And then when you have even Ben having his feed, and you've got Peter Capaldi, Danny, like, serving, and like, "Do you want some roast potatoes?" Yeah, more roast potatoes, some Brussels sprouts as well. It's so fucking random, but it just works. It's so funny.
I love Denis Lawson in this. Although I think his certainly like the first sort of half of the film is brilliant. You know, he's fantastic, and he's no less fantastic in the second half. But we don't see quite as much of him in the second half because the focus shifts a little bit. You know, when we meet more, we get a bit more Fulton Mackay and a bit more Riegert and stuff in his or Mac rather in his how he's fallen in love with Furness. But certainly like the first few scenes when Danny and Mac arrive at the hotel, he's leaning out the window and stuff talking to them, and then he's serving them breakfast, and then they go next door to the lawyer, and he's a lawyer for the town. He's like, "Yeah, I'm sometimes I'm a taxi driver as well."
Yeah, but it's not until you watch it maybe a second time you pick up on stuff like that. Like when he is collecting their breakfast plates, and he's like, "Oh, the accountant. Oh yeah, he lives. He's next door. I can tell you for a fact he'll be in about 15 minutes." And like when you watch it again, you just pick up on that. Yeah. And then what's the whole point with the guy banging on the roof as well? That's another Bill Forsyth thing. And he tells him to stop. And then when he's away to shag Stella in the office, and they both take their shoes off and put them in the in tray. And then he's like, "Okay, you can start again." Again, why?
Yeah, it's just for whatever reason, it just makes sense. You're like, well, of course they'd put their shoes in the in tray. I don't know why it makes sense, but it does, you know. But yeah, I mean, and the thing watching Denis Lawson in this, obviously, it's well known to all that he's Ewan McGregor's uncle. But and I don't know if this is just my mind playing tricks on me, but they seem to share quite a lot of the same mannerisms, and even like the way they sort of talk. I mean, maybe not so much Denis Lawson now, but I mean, imagine he was probably maybe in his early 30s or something like that when he did Local Hero. I don't know. I see it. As I say, it could just be my mind playing tricks on me, but I felt like I saw a little bit of a kind of younger Ewan McGregor in there.
No, I could see that. But he's very charismatic and does have some of the similar mannerisms. I mean, yeah, he's fantastic.
So why do we think he's not? Why do we think Denis Lawson has never had the career that that a lot of other Scottish actors have had? I mean, he's always been pretty much a supporting actor, right?
Yeah, but then he kind of strikes me as the type of person that can't be arsed with it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he does come across like his character, like Gordon, can't really be arsed. I'll do enough to get by, but I can't be really. He's brilliant. And in this film, he is incredible, like acting-wise, but I don't know. I think he just kind of couldn't be arsed. I know that sounds condescending in a way, but I genuinely think that's probably why. I don't think it was because he could have been more famous if he wanted to be, but he just was like, happy enough doing what I'm doing.
He's got 16 film credits, and 1, 2, 3, 4 of those are Star Wars movies where he appears on camera a few times as one of the X-Wing pilots. He's got a lot of TV going way back to like Dr. Finley's Casebook in 1969, and then quite a lot of theatre stuff as well. I mean, the thing is, I'd imagine as well back then, I mean, even now to some extent, I don't think it's that easy for Scottish actors to become international leading men. You got Ewan McGregor is kind of modern times probably the most successful one. You go back a bit further, you got Sean Connery, who's like a movie star. Alex Norton, and he says this in his autobiography that I've just finished, and I can highly recommend. For the longest time, he never really sought out lead parts. He was quite happy to do like supporting roles in movies and films and stuff. Obviously, he's one of the leads in Succession now.
You said Alex Norton, but you mean
Brian Cox. I mean Brian Cox. Beg your pardon. Yep, sorry, Brian Cox I'm talking about, not Alex Norton.
I was going to say, when you said he's been a Hollywood movie star, it's like Alex Norton.
Yeah.
I know he's top of the Swally Tally, but...
yeah. Which is arguably even more prestigious.
Yeah, Gerard Butler, I would agree. I would say James McAvoy is probably Richard Madden is, I mean, I think he could go either way. I think if he got the Bond gig, which has been mentioned a few times. I mean, I don't find Richard Madden a particularly charismatic actor, if I'm quite honest with you. He's a good actor, but I watched him in Bodyguard, the one with Keely Hawes, which was quite good. He was good. He was good in that, but I think he served his purpose in that, like kind of meant to be like a kind of robotic kind of army guy. Like I don't think I couldn't see him as Bond, like charismatic.
So but kind of going back to like the early 80s. The only really had, it was before Brian Cox did Hannibal Lecter and Manhunter. So really the only kind of internationally known Scottish actor that we really had, I think, was probably Sean Connery at this point, So, I mean, I think it would be maybe harder for somebody like Denis Lawson, even though this film did amazingly well. I mean, it's one of the few films that's got 100% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it was maybe just a bit harder to kind of make that breakthrough.
And I think that's the thing as well, because obviously the studio kind of wanted I think they'd seen Gregory's Girl and That Sinking Feeling, and they kind of wanted to take Bill Forsyth's like Scottish take, but also make an American film, so it would be good for the American audiences. And I think that's why maybe it kind of leapt that way, and I don't know, it works in terms of to an American audience, but also to a Scottish audience. So I think that's why it just made it so successful in a way, like in terms of it speaks to both parties. And I do wonder, like you have the scenes with Happer and his therapist, like that's the one bit that is maybe slightly shoehorned in. However, they are very funny, but I'm also like, does it need this? But maybe it's just to show Happer's character. But why? Is he like a masochist? Like, does he like being abused? Like, it's supposed
to be therapy, isn't it? It's supposed to be some kind of abuse therapy.
Yeah, but then why? Like, he's giving abusive phone calls whilst he's cooking scrambled eggs and stuff. Like, I don't... That's the one part of the film I'm kind of like, I could do without that. Like, it doesn't really need to be there.
Yeah, I feel like it's, for Forsyth, perhaps sort of trying to show the eccentricities of some of these, like, Rupert Murdoch type kind of modern 80s ugly art rich head of CEO type corporate guys and the kind of weird things they spend their money on perhaps, and it's a bit of a comment and exaggeration of that. Maybe I agree. I mean, the very, very last one when the guy's like spelling out motherfucker on the window did make me laugh. They made me laugh quite a lot, and it's making me laugh now just even thinking back to it. But I know what you mean. Like whenever as amazing an actor as Burt Lancaster obviously was, whenever the action kind of moves back to Texas, I was always kind of in my mind kind of rushing it along so we could get back to Furness, because I certainly felt that's where the most compelling elements of the story are,
So I think what he did, we've spoken a little about Denis Lawson, but to speak about Peter Riegert, so as Mac. So Michael Douglas was apparently desperate to play this role.
Really?
Yeah, he got hold of the script and he got in touch with Bill Forsyth, and he was like he wanted to play the role of Mac.
Right.
But Bill Forsyth had said, no, like I want Peter Riegert to play it. Like he genuinely what he had in his mind. This is who was playing this role. And then the studio got involved and they wanted Henry Winkler to play it. And again, Bill was like, no, it's Peter Riegert. That's who is playing Mac. And, he nails it. I can imagine, if you put Michael Douglas in there, but then 82, 83, is it going to make it a bigger film? Like if you got Michael Douglas or Henry Winkler. But I think Riegert he's just perfect as Mac. He's just so good. He looks like a young Dustin Hoffman, but also looks a bit like Miles Teller as well.
Yeah, he does actually.
But he's perfect. Just so kind of unassuming, and you needed someone that wasn't like a big name to be in this film. If you got Burt Lancaster, that's your big name.
Yeah.
You need someone that's not huge.
I mean, Douglas at that point, I'm trying to think without looking him up. So this is before Romancing the Stone, I think. I know he was on The Streets of San Francisco, the TV show in the 70s. And obviously his father is Kirk Douglas, who ironically was a frequent co-star of Burt Lancaster's. But, he a lot of what he'd done in the 70s was production. He produced One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, The China Syndrome, and obviously starred and produced Romancing the Stone. So it wasn't really until the mid-80s, sort of Fatal Attraction and Wall Street, that Douglas really became Michael Douglas, the incredibly famous Hollywood actor that we know. But to your point, I think Peter Rieghart's performance in this film, because the thing is, like we said earlier on, there is so much kind of Bill Forsyth kind of humour. Some of it is perhaps a little bit on the Scottish side, maybe. You know what I mean? But he seems completely aware of it as an actor. You know what I mean? Yeah. And his part in it. I mean, that line when he's talking up to Urquhart and Stella when they arrive at the hotel, and he says, we have an injured rabbit also. But he says it completely matter-of-factly. You know what I mean? We need a room each. Should be here for a couple of days. We could do with some food. Yeah, we've got an injured rabbit also. You know what I mean? I think he's absolutely brilliant in it, and he just seems to have totally understood the assignment. You know what I mean? Yeah. He knew exactly he seemed to know the role really, really well. And you can tell that, especially by the end of the film, you can tell he's having a fucking great time with all these other actors and stuff and being there.
What is it?
Sorry to trouble you so early. We'd like to check in and maybe eat something.
A breakfast isn't till 8. 7 in the fishing season. It's not the fishing season.
We check in anyway. We've been on the road all night. We have an injured rabbit also.
His interaction with, as you said earlier, the what was his name? The guy in the boat, Gideon. The guy that's painting the boat, and the Russian guy Victor. His interaction, but him and Peter Capaldi together, they're so just they bounce off each other. It's so funny to watch the two of them. And you're right. He's just perfect. I couldn't imagine Michael Douglas doing that role, and being as funny and as natural as he is.
Because someone like Michael Douglas, I would imagine grew up in a very wealthy background. Probably he grew up in Hollywood. His father was one of the most famous actors in the world for a while in the sort of 40s and 50s. Probably grew up in Beverly Hills and all that kind of thing. Whereas I'm making an assumption here, Peter Riegert probably came from a much more regular kind of normal background. So I think that helps him. And I think Douglas probably just wanted 8 weeks playing golf in Scotland. You know what I mean?
Probably,
8 weeks of golf and getting paid for it.
So to talk about Peter Capaldi and his character, Danny. Do we think that Marina the mermaid fucked him off and he then became Malcolm Tucker?
Possibly. It's quite possible. I could have done without that scene of him kissing her webbed feet.
So Marina, she's a mermaid. obviously. Like, that's the implication. She is a mermaid because they say that she can hold her breath. And the whole point of Alex Norton, she could hold her lungs for a very long time. She has webbed feet. She implicates she lives in the sea. And then there's a whole point where they're speaking about the sea lions. And they said that they used to be mermaids. They were wrong. Like, she's a mermaid, and that's the fantasy kind of land of Local Hero. And the fact that they effectively enter the village through fog, like they have to stop before they enter because of the fog. So that's we're thinking that this place is like a fairy tale land.
It's like Brigadoon.
Exactly. That is exactly, and I think that's what Bill Forsyth kind of based it on, Brigadoon. Like, this is like a fairy tale land. You have to go into the fog, and mermaids exist, and it's so special and wonderful, though.
I think Peter Capaldi's one of these people who they have to sort of grow in to the way they look, because as a young man, he's quite unusual looking, Peter Capaldi, especially when he smiles. He does a big broad smile and all that. I mean, you know, as he's gotten older, you know, he's become a lot more distinguished looking and stuff. But I think as the role of the kind of awkward, sort of gangly, occasionally hapless, but incredibly intelligent Danny, who speaks all these languages, and you know, and then when he arrives, he's basically got nothing to do. Danny, has he? He's got nothing to do except, you know, try and find Marina on the coast and just sort of knock about Furness, whereas Mac is kind of doing all the, certainly in the first kind of, towards the end of the first act at least, he's doing all the work, if you can call it work. Trying to negotiate with Urquhart and nail things down.
Here's a wonderful fact for you. I know we covered this on episode 2 of the Culture Swally when we did Gregory's Girl, and we said that the chip shop they go to is called Capaldi's because it was named after Peter Capaldi's father or cousins, that owned the chip shop. So, and then Peter Capaldi is obviously in Local Hero, and in Comfort and Joy, Peter Capaldi's father was the ice cream consultant. So Peter Capaldi has a link through the kind of Bill Forsyth trilogy of Gregory's Girl, Local Hero, Comfort and Joy. So that's a little Capaldi fact for you there.
Yeah, I saw that on the Movie Connections program.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I feel like I might have known that. Did we talk about that when we did Comfort and Joy? I can't remember.
I think we might have done. I know Gregory's Girl, I definitely mentioned Capaldi's as the chip shop, and maybe Comfort and Joy, I might have mentioned that, he was the ice cream consultant. One thing I would say about Bill Forsyth's film as well, and it's something that is very commendable. The women are always like kind of mysterious in a way. Like, so if you have like Gregory's Girl, Claire Grogan, for example, and even Comfort and Joy, Claire Grogan's character, she's very mysterious, kind of, you know, Bill Patterson's character is always kind of trying to hunt her down and find her. And you got Dee Hepburn in Gregory's Girl too. And in Comfort and Joy, you have got Marina and Stella. And they're both very mysterious, but very powerful women. And it's almost a great point of Bill Forsyth's filmmaking that these female characters are very powerful, heavy, kind of driven women, but very mysterious in a way. Like, very, like, for early 80s, very kind of,
I don't know what I'm looking for.
The word I'm looking for, but, you know, foreshadowing, kind of very powerful, kind of the way he's done that.
Yeah, I mean, that's they all his female characters have got it over all the guys. You know what I mean? They have the guys figured out. You know, I mean, I think it's sort of. I think Gregory's Girl was probably the best example of that, and Claire Grogan's character in Gregory's Girl, and the kind of the way that the date is manipulated, and all the girls that Gregory meets that night before he gets to Claire Grogan, they're all exactly as you describe, very confident, very sure of themselves. know exactly how to manipulate this staff boy or this staff guy or whatever to get what they need, to get what they want from them. Yeah. I mean, I can't really think of many other male writer-directors that portray women like that so consistently.
Especially in the early 80s as well. Like, it's a testament, and it's so beautiful to watch. Like, they're so great. So who is the local hero? Who's the local hero in this film?
Well, that's it. I mean, that's the sort of ambiguity of the whole film, isn't it? It's, like it can't be Mac because he's not a local. Is Urquhart the local hero? Are his motivations supposed to be admirable and noble, or is he meant to be just another example of this sort of early 80s kind of greed? It's just, it can't be Danny because he's not local either. It's really hard to tell. Who's your thoughts?
I don't know. It was a genuine question. Who is the local hero? Gideon, probably.
Gideon, maybe,
yeah. Gideon, probably local. No, I would say...
Ben, maybe?
Ben, actually. Yeah, you're right. Ben probably is the local hero.
Yeah,
he would be. I mean, he kind of saves the day at the end, really.
We never find out how he saves the day because, as Forsyth said in that programme you sent me, that he couldn't think what Burt Lancaster's character and Folk Mackay's character would have to say to each other and how they would get to the resolution that he wanted to get to. So he would just have them in the shack and film everybody waiting about outside, wondering what's going on, and have them laughing occasionally and stuff,
But then again, that's the beautiful thing of Bill Forsyth. Like, you have them in their shack, and then you have Peter Capaldi's character running over and coming back, and he's like, they want beef sandwiches, one with salt, one with mustard, like one with no salt. Like, it's so funny and beautiful the way it's done.
Yeah.
Like, but what are they saying? Oh, I don't know, but they were laughing a lot.
Did you enjoy, and I don't mind asking, it's a bit of a rhetorical question, but did you enjoy seeing the classic beer pumps and stuff in the bar? The McEwan's Export, McEwan's Lager pumps? And
obviously we're coming on to the awards when we're talking about pubs, but I did like the fact that they had Tennant's Lager, McEwan's Lager, and McEwan Export on draft. I thought that was a beautiful sight to behold in the pub. But classic, a lovely little hotel bar. But they seem to have them on both sides, because at one point he's speaking to them at one side of the bar, and then the other time he's speaking to the other side, and they also have so they've got two Tennant's pumps and two McEwan's Export pumps. So,
but if it's a long enough bar, you might long enough busy bar.
It's a little hotel bar, but obviously he's got 42-year-old whiskey, so it's a decent enough bar. Very specific 42-year-olds. I did like that when Mac at the Cayley, they're speaking about the 42-year-old. He said, give me 5 8-year-olds and a 5-year-old. That Cayley, we'll come on to this later with the awards. No kilts at the Cayley.
No, yeah. That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit weird. You'd think they'd have some kilts, surely.
I mean, I don't feel like there are many oversights in Bill Forsyth's films. I tend to feel like everything is by design, but I can't think why he would make the choice not to have kilts. Being that I don't remember going to many Cayleys or any Cayleys in the early 80s because I was only 5 when this movie came out. But maybe people weren't wearing kilts to formal occasions as much as they do now. Maybe there was a spate of masturbating kilt delivery men in Scotland in the 1980s, and it kind of put people off.
Yeah, possibly. Don't know. What do you think would have happened? So towards the end of the film, the local have their meeting, and then Ben gets fed and drunk and comes off. So just before Burt Lancaster comes in on his chopper. Yeah. Just before that, the locals are kind of going down to the beach. And do you think they were going to go and rough Ben up?
No, I don't think so.
What were they doing though?
Maybe going down to confront him and try and talk him out of, to try and talk him into rather giving up his stretch of beach that he owned. Maybe. Okay,
but then Burt comes in like Airwolf to save the day. So you think they were just going to have a chat with him? Because Ben's obviously a local kind of, the local good guy.
Sort of hermit, isn't he?
He's at the Cayley, he's stuffing his pockets full of sandwiches and stuff and cakes. So he's obviously it's Ben, he's fine, he's okay. But they were all kind of walking down there with menace. But yeah.
I've got to say, they used two locations for Furness. Famously, they used Pennon in the northeast of Scotland, and then they used the beach at Mallaig to kind of create the illusion of, because Pennon is a port, it doesn't have like a massive sandy beach. And Mallaig Beach, and that shot of the helicopter, at first it's just the kind of light that you see before it becomes apparent it's a helicopter coming across the horizon. And the colours of the kind of early evening night sky, what we sometimes call the gloaming in Scotland. I mean, when you think about Forsyth's work, a lot of it is, sort of character study type stuff, like Gregory's Girl, Comfort and Joy, for example. But, the way he captures that time of the evening on the coast, and the helicopter coming in, and all the villagers sort of silhouetted, and it's a brilliant shot.
Yeah. Oh no, it's beautiful. Beautiful in terms of the helicopter coming in. And I think we need to mention, obviously, the ending. And the ending was meant to be Mac back in his apartment in Houston, and that was it. And then the studio was like, no, we need to have a happy ending, like kind of, as they said, like almost like, no, we need to go back there, get married, have a kid, like kind of thing. And as kind of a compromise, Bill Forsyth just has the phone booth ringing, and it's just perfect. That ending, it's so ambiguous, and that's the kind of thing I love in a film. When I'm seeing a film ending, just an ambiguous, you make your own mind up.
Yeah, and in my mind, it's Mac calling from Houston.
Of course. Yeah, of course,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm glad that they put pressure on Forsyth, because I think just him going back to Houston and sort of taking the shells out of his pocket and putting them in his breakfast bar and looking out the window at the kind of skyline of Houston and stuff, that'd be a real. I mean, the ending it's not quite a downer because of that phone call, but it's still a bit of a low ending, even as it is. But having the kind of iconic phone box ringing the very last seconds of the film it's a perfect ending, actually. It's really good.
It's perfect. He's phoning in to check if they're okay and see who's there. No, I think it's perfect. Beautiful in a way.
So they should have, instead of making Gregory's Two Girls, I think Forsyth should have made a sequel to Local Hero, where maybe Mac comes back sort of 15, 20 years later, and I don't, maybe the Institute is sort of broken down, it's not working like it should be and stuff, and Mac comes back to try and get it back on an even keel and catches up with Denis Lawson. And I like the idea that he's still running the pub and he's still the accountant, but he's got like a Maserati parked outside because he's got money from he's got money from the Institute, and you know what I mean, and all that kind of thing. It's been more interesting to see what those characters were up to sort of 15, 20 years later than just what Gregory's up to. You know what I mean? And Gregory's Two Girls.
True. True. But then it's best to just leave it as it is, though.
Yeah, I know. I mean, sometimes, but that's the thing. Like, sequels can sometimes, if it's not a good sequel, it can sometimes take the shine off the film that preceded it. And I think Gregory's Girl, for a while at least, sort of took a little bit of negativity from how Gregory's Two Girls was received. But I think everybody's sort of forgotten about Gregory's Two Girls now, and Gregory's Girls back to where it should be.
Until we do it on the Swally.
Until we do it on the Swally, yeah. Maybe our very, very last, if we decide to hang up our podcasting headphones, maybe our very, very, very last episode should be Gregory's Two Girls. Go out with a whisper. Okay, so just before we go into the Swally Awards, tell me honestly, have you been wandering around the house humming or whistling the Local Hero tune since you watched it?
Yes, I have. Genuinely, for the last 2 days, I've been whistling it. Yeah, I can't help it, but it's just tuning in my head. I'm whistling it. My dog's been like, every ears pricking up, like, what are you whistling that for? But yeah, I have been. You can't help it. I mean, obviously, did you know the soundtrack made more money than the film did.
I didn't know that, but I can believe that. Because I think this was the age of... I think that this was the age of the beginning of the compact disc. And I think it was also... It was a bit of a sweet spot for movie soundtracks, where for some movies, the soundtrack was as big a deal as the film sort of coming out. You know what I mean?
So the soundtrack to Local Hero made more money than the film did in box office.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow. Well, deservedly so. It's a very, very good soundtrack. And then apparently Mark Knopfler used to play as a Dire Straits concert encore. He would play like one of the tunes from Local Hero.
Apparently, he still does. Plays he plays Going Home as his last song when he's doing a concert. And Newcastle United, they play that as the team comes out.
Really? How did I not know
that? They've done that for years. They play the because Mark Knopfler's from Newcastle.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, they play Going Home when the team runs out.
Well, there you go.
There you go. Fun fact.
Okay, so we'll put Local Hero through our Swally Awards. A few of the awards are a bit redundant this week.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
I'll lead in with the one that very much isn't redundant, and that would be the Bobby the Barman Award for the best pub.
Well,
21 pub.
You have you've got Tennant's and McEwen's on draft. You've got a 42-year-old whiskey, and you've got Dave Anderson as a barfly. So without a doubt, I would genuinely love to go for a pint in that bar.
Well, we can perhaps next summer if our trip to Scotland comes off, because it's the Ship Inn in Banff used for the interior bar scenes.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay. So Jesus, that would be amazing. Yeah, we could do. Then, let's do that. Yeah, I'd love to go for a pint there. Yeah.
Yep. We could do Pennon, which doubles for Furness. Yeah. And then it's just a not too long a drive through to Banff. Can have a pint of McEwen's lager, or Tennant's, or both even. If we can get our wives to drive at the famous Ship Inn.
Wonderful. Okay.
So we can't do the Hugh McGregor Award for gratuitous nudity, for there is none.
Well, you got Peter Capaldi in the bath. You get to see his nipples. Does that count?
Well, why not?
If it was Marina's nipples, you would count it. So I think it's only fair. Okay. You count male nudity. So we've got Peter Capaldi in the bath as he's testing how long he can hold his breath.
Yeah. So the James Cosmo Award for appearing in every Scottish production, I've whittled it down to 2. You've mentioned one already.
Yeah, I've got 2. I can't believe how young Jonathan Watson looks in this film.
He does.
And we think like a year later he does City Lights and he looks so much older.
Yeah.
But looks like how he does. It's Jonathan Watson or Alex Norton for me.
Oh, I had Dave Anderson or Alex Norton.
Oh, Dave Anderson, of course. Yeah.
I'm moustacheless Dave Anderson. Which threw me a bit until I wasn't. I thought it was him.
You could
I wasn't
pick
sure.
any of the 3. Dave Anderson, Alex Norton. It has to be Alex Norton though. He's got more lines, and
he does,
but he appears looking like a young Phil Collins. Out of the water.
The Jake McQuillan Award for your T-Zoot. I gave this to Trudy the Rabbit because there's for getting hit by the car, because there's no like violence, is there, between the actors.
I've genuinely got none for this, so we'll give it to Trudy getting a scalping from the car.
I've got none for this next one, the Francis Begbie Award for gratuitous swearing, because the little bits of bad language aren't particularly gratuitous.
I've got 2 for this. So I've got the 2 G's in Bugger Off.
Are you sure there are 2 L's in dollar, Gideon? Yes. And now there are 2 G's in Bugger Off.
Right.
Or I have got, which we also mentioned earlier, and it genuinely made me stop the watching because I laughed so much, is the Harper is a motherfucker. Yeah. But he doesn't spell it out, but it just made me laugh. You know what's coming. So, that won it for me.
Next one, the archetypal Scottish moment. I gave it to Lecaley because It's very particular to our way of life.
I gave it to the Kaylee initially, and then after watching the documentary that I sent you, I gave it to the Gloaming, which I thought was
that's much better.
It is quite a Scottish thing on the beach, just the sunset, and so the Gloaming, I gave it to that.
And then the last award, the Sean Connery Award. Who won the movie, would you say?
This was the one award I really debated about. I wanted to give it to Peter Capaldi.
No, really?
He's so funny, but I have to give it to Denis.
I give it to Riegert. I just thought he was brilliant in it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I really liked him, but...
oh, no. I was between Capaldi and Lawson, but really? Riegert? Okay.
Yeah. Well,
He's brilliant, but come on. Denis Lawson he's amazing in this film.
He is. Like, I'm not saying he isn't at all. I mean, and I was swithering between the two of them, for sure. But yeah, okay. We'll go with the Denis Lawson. I'm sure Riegert won't. I'm sure he won't mind. There's less chance of bumping into Riegert than like Glasgow City Centre. Do you know what I mean?
True. Yeah, very true, actually.
Okay. All right, look, so just before we sort of finish up on Local Hero, I just want to go through the locations, because there's a lot of locations that they use for this film. Like a surprise, and I'm just going to mention the Scottish locations, right? So you've got Arsaig in the Highland. There's the Ship Inn in Banff that we spoke about a few minutes ago that they used for the interior bar shots. There's the Ben Nevis Distillery in Fort William. There's, let me try and say this properly, Camastarach Sands, Fort William. There is Loch Ely, Lochaber, Loch Alliort, Loch Tarf at Fort Augustus, Mallaig, and Moydart. And for the shop, I'd never heard of this place in Aberdeenshire, which is mad considering I lived there for quite a long time. The Pole of Itlaw, which is the village shop. So must be a wee village or something. A wee one, you know, in northeast of Scotland, there's these tiny little villages, but it's only like sort of 3 houses, maybe a farm or something.
Yeah, never heard of that. Yeah.
So, Local Hero. I really enjoyed that. And I'm going to try and persuade my family to watch it at some point.
Okay. Well, look, I'll look forward to hearing if you do get your family to watch that, and we can see what they think.
And your lovely wife couldn't be persuaded to watch it?
No, she does want to watch it.
Right.
So we'll maybe try over the next week or so.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I'll convince her to watch it, yeah.
So it was supposed to be your choice this week, but you didn't really get to choose anything because we decided a while ago that we'd do Local Hero for the 50th episode, which means episode 51 is your choice. So what are we talking about next time?
Well, Greg, I would like to go from one local hero to another local hero.
Okay.
But we're not going to a beautiful, picturesque place in Furness. We're off to meet the local hero of Govan. And we're going back to 1990 as we look at the first series of Rab C. Nesbitt.
Oh, brilliant. Well, that's excellent, yeah.
So if any of our listeners want to watch the first series of Rab C. Nesbitt, it's available on YouTube and you can watch it before we speak about it next week.
Excellent. Okay, yeah. I look forward to that. I've not watched that for maybe since it was on. Fucking years ago.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for listening, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you would like to follow us on Instagram, you can follow us at Culture Swally Pod, or you can follow us on Twitter at Swally Pod. And if you have anything that you've seen in the news that you'd like us to talk about, or if you've got anything you'd like us to review, or anything in particular Scottish, or if you just want to get in touch and say hello, then please feel free. You can drop us a line on cultureswally@gmail.com. And similarly, if you feel free to give us a little rating, review, subscription on iTunes, or tell your friends, anything that you can help to help the podcast grow would be greatly appreciated. So,
those of you who have been with us for a while, and I'm thinking about you, Henry, may remember that last year we had a website for a while before I fell out with Bluehost and their technical support team. So I can tell you that work has begun on a new website 2.0. The platform that I've chosen to use, which rhymes with bear pace, is not quite as easy to use and intuitive as Bluehost, but I'm learning all about it. So hopefully we'll have something up on there that we can put links to the episodes on, and links to some of our favourite stories, and maybe some some additional information about some of the stuff that we've covered in the Swally over the last 2 years.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we'll look forward to seeing that uploaded very soon.
All right, if I don't see you through the week, I'll see you through the windy.
I have a proposition for you, Gordon. I know I may be a bit tipsy, but I want you to consider this seriously, okay?
Okay.
Okay. I want to swap with you. Everything. I want to stay here. Run the hotel. Do little bits of business. You can go to Houston. Take the Porsche, the house, the job. It's a good life there, Gordon. I pull down $80,000 a year. Plus, I have over $50,000 in mixed securities. I want you to have it all. There's nothing due on the car. It's pure ownership. And I won't let down your good name here, Gordon. I'll make a good Gordon, Gordon. What do you say, pal?